Okay, not that I don't like to put things in easy shapes, it's just that I never knew all these shapes until I did the arpeggios. So, but before we do the arpeggios, I want to show you just in the key of C, right, where you have your normal, this will be your fret nut at home. Okay, we have our C major, then we have a familiar D minor shape, D minor, and a familiar E minor shape. Okay, and that's it's B, E, G, all right, which is the 7th, the 3rd, and the 5th. And then we have our familiar F. This is all in the same box. G, and then our familiar A minor. All right, and then for the half diminished, you simply add the 7th, and it sounds something like this. That's the tonic again. So rather than memorize all the other little chords, and there are these other little chords that I never knew about, you know. There are these little chords I didn't really use all the time. Maybe people did, maybe they didn't. And certainly down into the groups of 3 strings down towards the bottom here in the D minors. All right, and then we've got G-shaped D minors or A minors. All right, so rather than, you know, of course I embrace these chords and I wanted to play them, I want to learn them, but the easiest way is to learn the arpeggios as if this was a pattern. A pattern is defined as an all P fourths tuning, one instance of a scale or an arpeggio, right? So over here, this is a pattern. It's just that I did it in the colored notes, but I put the letters on here so we would recognize our old friends. Okay, now we want this pattern to be unwarped because it'll be warped in different places. Different elements would be warping depending on where you started, right? So if that 2 is a D and I start that here, that 2, 3, 4, all right, the 5 is going to be warped right over. Okay, what's underneath that? The 2 goes to a root 7, and we go down backwards the S2L to that E. So this is a pattern. It would be warped at different places. So if I just started an S3L from, I guess we want to start it on a 2. So if I start it from this D, in the key of C, 2 would be a D. Wow, that was completely unwarped. That was the pattern because we're staying below the 5th string from the bottom. So this is the 5th string from the bottom. Okay? We stayed below that warp. Now, what would warp over would be when we go to the next part of the stack here. This is this pattern, but now we have a pattern stack where we put this on top of that, right? Oh yeah, we're going to put this on top of that. You know, and that's where it goes. That is where it goes. So it'd be like that kind of thing. So starting from that 2 again. Then we have to warp this pattern stack over. So the 3 is going to be diagonally warped up. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 root, and the top string following the same pattern. Now, so that's what a pattern stack is. It's not going through the warp. If you want to play a pattern stack the way it's written, then you have to keep below in the first 4 strings. That's the lowest string. So you'd have to, for your guitar, it'd be the E, A, D, and G string. You know, and you can do that. You can pretty much do that. You can go like that, you know, or you can find the same thing, a perfect 4th over, without even going up a string. You can go horizontal. Has a little more hollow sound up there. So that's what a pattern stack is. It's perfect 4ths tuning in this imaginary imaginary virtual guitar board, fretboard, that has 6 strings but perfect 4th tuning. And there's a reason why I don't warp the top there, because it'll start to look like one of the chords. We don't want it to look like one of the chords. We want it to look like a pattern, as if it's being played on the bottom 4 strings at all times. Alright, that's the lowest string pitch-wise being string 1. So here it is. This is the pattern that I learned, right? Just starting from root. It'd be root to a major 3rd, alright? Major 3rd to a minor 3rd, and then straight up. Alright, now let's talk about the intervals. From root to a from C to E, root to a major 3rd, okay? This is a major 3rd, because straight up is a major 4th. So from root to the F be this note right here. Okay? That's the way guitar is. It's set up that way. It's a little high, the pitch, but so that's a major 3rd, okay? It's just 1 box down from a perfect 4th up, which is what the next string is. It's the same pitch on the same fret. Okay, now a minor 3rd is obviously 1 down from a major 3rd, so we go up for perfect 4th, a perfect 3rd, down another fret for a minor 3rd interval from 3 to 5. So we've got root 3, 5, and then up, straight up for a perfect 4th, and it just repeats from there. Root to 3, 5 to a minor 3rd to the 5, a minor 3rd away from 3. This is the root position, root 3, 5. The first inversion is 3, 5 root. The second inversion is 5 root 3. And you'll notice that, and then you go back to root, but this is, you know, this is the same thing. You'll notice this root position here, this root 3, 5, is characteristic of the not only the G shape cage box, you know, position, the G-shaped position. It's also characteristic of the C-shaped position 1 string up. Those are root chords. Alright? When you get into the 3, 5 root, you just start from this. So if I'm making a G-shaped chord, say I'm making a G-shaped C here, right? It's terrible, but it's going to go. So the G, the 5 and the root are actually on the bar at that time. Now simply, to continue the arpeggio up, we got to warp over 1. So the 3 is going to be on top, and then we go back into a minor. So then we have this shape chord. You know, so that's a chord. I mean, that's a root position